Hello.
Hello and welcome back to the SWAN Pricing Show. My name is Filip Vucic. I'm a pricing mentor.
And I'm Filip Zolota, business mentor.
We would like a word about the very common advice of under promise and over deliver, right? Because it's just like anything in the business world. It's not that simple. So it's good to delight clients. I think we can all agree on that. However, there's something called hope creep, which is like scope creep. But this is where the client takes your order delivery and thinks that's delivery, and then expects the same over delivery for the same price next time. And I mean, expert work. So as we say in this one world, work is fickle. Sometimes you can do something much more quickly, cheaply, or simply better because the moves hit you in the right way at the right moment, or something else was canceled, or you had a wonderful weekend before that, or or you just felt inspired. But that's not sustainable. That's not something that you can do over and over and over again, and you shouldn't be expected to. However, if you just under promise and over deliver, you will run the risk of the client thinking, oh, that's how it works. I ask for 70, he gives me 110. Great. And next time, when you have a headache, or it's raining, or it's simply a lot more work has come your way, now you deliver 100, which is still more than he asked for initially, and now you're under delivering in their eyes, right? Because within the duck world, in the commoditized space, it's much easier to form realistic expectations, right? There's two, not so many variables. If I want banking services, I know what I'm expecting, right? If I want my coffee served, I know what I'm expecting. If I order a pizza, I know what I'm expecting. It's not that complicated, right? Has the pizza been delivered? Yes or no. On time? Yes or no. Warm? Yes or no. Thank you. That's it. There's no more.
Tasty or not? Tasty or not?
Yes. So, in the SWAN world, it's not like that, Oh, you provide coaching. Right. Okay, Mr. Client, have you been coached or not? What does that mean? Right? And so who is being coached matters. It doesn't really matter who do you deliver pizza to. If they ask for a pizza, they get the pizza, right? Is it the right pizza? Yes, okay, right? It's very binary. And here it's not. So who is being coached? By whom? That matters as well. And why? Right? So it's a matter of degree of being coached, not a yes or no answer. Therefore, it's much harder to form expectations, and it's much harder to fulfill expectations, right? Because the satisfaction in both worlds is a function of expectation and the perceived value of the result, right? Perceived value of the result. So if they think they need 70 and you deliver 140, but you communicate 60, they're still going to be underwhelmed. They're going to be unsatisfied, right? So I've heard people ask, yeah, but so what's the objective measure? You don't want the objective measure, because the objective measure doesn't do anything. Because even if objectively you could mathematically prove that you delivered 140 and the client still sees 60, for the client that's 60, thank you.
Yeah,
and
it's a
he's
level
not.
of their understanding of the scope and everything, and you are being tied to that. So that person is judging the level of service you provided, and they simply don't understand the scope, the level of required quality, etc. So it's a wrong setup by default.
Yeah, the scope is absolutely a very interesting thing here, because this is why when we talked about scope on this show, we said it's the expert that needs to scope things, not the client, because the client is mostly, by and large, not really capable of scoping a complicated job, right? Because they don't understand enough to scope it well. So they should be able to tell you what they want. And so what does that mean? What do they expect? What would delight them? That's all very, very interesting. And you need to hear that. And some boundaries of theirs. Their the time frame which they will know that. You can't know that, right? In which they need this, and the budget, so time budget or money budget in which they, so you should always believe them when they say, there is no time to do this or that. Okay, because when do you need it? Okay, right. However, that's it. The steps is something that you need to do, because they will skip 40 to 60% of what's needed, and then they will also expect you to do some things which are not, because they got it from a BuzzFeed article that you always have to, do this when you do that. It makes no sense for somebody who is not an expert to scope it. So the dynamic has to be, so what do you want? Okay, here's what we need to do. And then they say, okay, fine, that's within my, budget in a broader sense. That's it. Then you go do it, right? And I don't know if you talked about gold plating. Gold plating is also well, like a type of scope creep, where you, as the expert, do more than is expected of you. So you say, no, we can't possibly let something like that go. We need to also do this and that, right? When we joked about it, yeah, I remember we said, I have to deliver, 2 cows, but in tuxedos, right? Because, right, and then when the client doesn't really feel like they should pay for it, then people get upset. But those were custom fit tuxedos. Yeah, who asked you to do that?
You added those tuxedos to my
Yes.
cows.
So that's called gold plating. But I think here hope creep is a bigger problem when you over deliver, right? So it's a baselessly raised expectation, and you did that on your own by not communicating. And you basically wanted to talk about the communication part, right?
Yeah. That is, as you mentioned, it's a fundamental and key element in the story. What is often happen, if any kind of in the life cycle of business cooperation, if any misalignment occurs, or you are going towards the ending some business relationship, then what is happening? Sometimes the service provider, the professionals who is providing some level of expertise, help and support to their clients, they're becoming angry because the clients didn't appreciate their help and support. You're accountable for that. You are the one who decided to give more and more in terms of value and didn't communicate it. And you're expecting the client to understand it. It's wrong on every possible position, simply due to lack of communication. If you already decided to give away whatever you've decided to give away as the additional value, additional help, support, you name it, no matter. It is important that element is being communicated and client understands it. And that's it. That way, you are also in some way preventing future misalignments in communication, because as you mentioned in the combining both the hope creep and gold plating, you as the professional are actually making the potential problem. And what's often happening, you're becoming, it's a compound effect. You're becoming angry or angrier at the client. They don't appreciate me or us. It's your problem. When was the last time you mentioned all those elements you're now talking to me and sharing with me? Never. Okay, do you see the problem there?
Yes.
That is exactly
Yes.
that. Yeah.
It's like when employees think, oh, you know, if I over deliver, then the boss will notice that. Probably not. Firstly, it's not in their economic interest to notice it, so they won't. And so I don't know who said it. Yeah, there's no person so blind as the one that doesn't want to see, right? So why would they? And okay, in that form, we are the problem, right? We gold plate, we over deliver, but then don't communicate that this is over delivery. This is above what was asked, but you know, I really like this project, or I just got inspired, or it just clicked that way. So you you need to, it's counterintuitive, but you need to manage expectations for next time. So I'm not saying don't over deliver, don't delight the client, but don't over deliver silently. Like when we talked about discounts. So discounts are not good, but silent discounts where you don't even say that you're reducing the price, those are the worst. Yeah. Because what do clients do? They turn around and ask you for an additional discount. And it's not impolite. You never said that you were discounting anything, right?
Yeah. And then you start counting if something occurs in terms of business relationships being stopped or whatever. I was doing this, and this for you. The person cannot know that. The person cannot know if that is something which hasn't been shared with the person, and it's very simple. It's basic.
And this is a Ducks one difference as well, right? Because the more expertise your field takes, the less the client will be able to figure out, appreciate any deviation from expectation, because their expectation is very murky, right? If I go to a surgeon's table, I expect to wake up alive. That's about it. I have no idea and no appreciation of how well they stitched the back of my head. It can be a masterpiece. I will never know, right? Because I'm not able to perceive it. Especially something that they did on the inside. So on the outside, I technically can have a smaller scar, but if I'm doing this the first time, and I hope to God that I am, then it could be normal. It could be bigger than I thought it would be, because my cousin's cousin said that he had no scars. Or I read on the internet that if you, I don't know, rub an orange on it, then it should disappear or something like that. Unless the Freemasons cursed you, of course, or something, right? Okay, so, but there's another case which I've seen, unfortunately, so many times, where the client is the problem, where they use the over delivery against you, your own over delivery. So I've seen people say, "Oh, okay, so I thought you would be doing this website for 2 weeks. You're done in 2 days. Right, now I'm going to pay you less because you worked less, right? So you over delivered, and then they say, well, clearly this wasn't really a problem for you, so you don't deserve as much money as we dealt, as was the deal, right? It's crass, but it happens. I've seen it happen, right? Or they say, okay, so we have a lot of time left, so let's also do this and this and this and this, right? Which is almost the same thing, slightly worse. Or move the goalposts. So yes, okay, of course we said we would do like one brochure, but I meant in 3 parts, right? So we did the first one. Congratulations, excellent. Now let's do the second 2 parts. Or you know, I also seen people try to flatter you into giving them even more surplus. Oh, so you're so great, you know, that brilliant mind of yours. Blah 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 blah. Can we also have this then? Since we have, you know, since you are um, so these are bad. I can understand them being instinctive in some ways. In some ways, they're very deliberate, right? But you are driving yourself into a situation like that where you present them with something, hoping against hope that they will, you know, have a professional way of dealing with it, which sometimes is simply not the case. So I think it's a very um again it's worse in this one world because of the expectation management, right? So I think it's a very key moment where when you understand that you produced a surplus, buyer surplus, so more value than the client ordered, then you basically have to decide if in this specific case for this specific surplus the client should know about it. Because if they don't know, so you're done in 2 days, he paid for 2 weeks, but he's getting everything that the deal mentioned. So he is not getting swindled because it's not about the work, it's about the value, right? Okay. Then you can absolutely decide that you can take a 10-day holiday, basically, right? And deliver everything as expected. You're getting paid as expected. That's an option. And in some cases, it's a better option. And I don't see anything morally wrong with it if the client still gets the value that they bargained for and paid for, right? Because sometimes the aftermath is worse for you if you deliver this, right? If you deliver something more cheaply, it's probably going to be more noticed. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. You can also keep a part of that surplus or whole of that surplus if the client cannot be trusted with the surplus. And I would say that most clients deserve the benefit of a doubt once. So even if you have like a large surplus, you might firstly report a smaller part of it and see how they react. If they react well, you can then delight them with an even bigger surplus when you see that their reaction goes in the direction that you hoped. However, the first time that somebody misuses a surplus by trying to pay you less or rope you into free things, or that's it.
Yeah.
Right? All of the surpluses from then on should be kept, because you're only going to make it worse for yourself by not gaining anything else. And people say, you know, that's how I clink to clients. And we talked about this in the pre-show. Some clients should not be clinked to. Right? So it's I think that's also maybe a SWAN thing where it's less clear that you produce a surplus and more likely that you produce a surplus. So you have more freedom of what do you actually do with that surplus once you detect it. Right? So I don't see a problem in this the buyer surplus becoming seller surplus or profits when there's nothing that would prevent it in the agreement, or you know, if the client really needs the website as soon as possible and you immediately do it in 2 days, okay, maybe that would be a bad thing to tell them, yeah, I'm done in like 2 weeks and go on a vacation. But if if you set a deadline, 10 days before a major show, getting it 20 days before a major show won't do any difference. So you can probably safely keep that. So just like in some other things that we talked about, I wouldn't I would say there's more of a choice than a black or white matter when it comes to over delivery.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
over delivery is always a good thing, sometimes just for you, sometimes just for the client, and ideally both. But if I have to choose between those two things, both is best, then you, then the client.
Yeah. And the beauty is that you, as the expert, have the control of it and
Yes.
understanding, knowing all the aspects of it. And in the end, depending on the other side with whom you're communicating, the type and level of character, according to that, you are presenting and communicating as you mentioned. That is very important. Also, that communication aspect. It's maybe sometimes dilemma. Okay, we've created additional value, the surplus, whatever. We need to share it with client. Okay, cool. What is the consequence of that action? What
Yes.
will that pull out? I have two very often seen examples, especially, for example, in the web design. If you created something, as you mentioned, being very creative, whatever, and you get to the client with 5 versions of something, whatever, you set up new expectation. And the next time when you make, for example, 1 layout, 2 layouts, whatever, can you do a little bit more updates? And you end up with 7 or the same amount of the previous time. And it's crazy. The same thing maybe in marketing activities and campaigns. Continuously moving the border of desired state, ideal state, or kind of having minimal results. And then what is the problem when exceeded value, something which cannot be used as a regular expectation pattern, is becoming expected from their end, and it
Yes.
is unrealistical to set up as the foundation as something what you can continuously achieve. And that is very important. Communication resolves every scenario, and that's important to have that or any of those types of conversation immediately or as soon as possible. That way you're saving
That's exactly
time.
hope creep. That's exactly the definition of hope
Yeah,
creep,
yeah,
of moving the expectations toward territory that is not sustainable and not repeatable, right? And it's easy to happen here. And
yeah,
gold plating is doesn't have anything to do with the client's expectations. It's your own expectations of, I have to deliver this or that into this. I usually call it playing chess with additional rules just for yourself. You're playing chess, but you cannot touch a pawn after you touch the queen, right? Because I say so, and because so the other side is absolutely not bound by those rules. You're just piling on constraints on yourself for no good reason, right?
yeah.
Yes. It's. I mean, people say, okay, it's good to have standards, and it is not 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 for any price.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Uh,
a matter of the big picture, and you
yes,
need to. It's you are being hold, and you need to hold yourself accountable for the big picture as the expert, as you mentioned previously, and that
because
is the key point.
the trap that I've seen with over delivery is that people want to do the best job that they physically can, sometimes without sleeping, right? And then they don't charge for it, which means they have to have more clients to pay their bills, which means that they will burn out sooner or later. It would be much better to have 20% less clients and have a padding for when the inevitable crash happens, and then you will have more sleep, and then you will have more time to do great work. So it's by trying by striving to over deliver every time, they actually start under delivering. Sooner or later they burn out. Right? It's much better to have less clients and more time for each client, or more time for yourself, for your other for a family, or for hobbies or things that recharge you, and then you can do your best work.
Exactly.
So I've seen people burn out so many times, especially in marketing, but in other ways as well, right? In other ways as well. I think we got this one.
Yeah, it's obvious that we love the topic.
Yeah, let's not over deliver on this.
Exactly.
Right. Where can people find you, Philip?
People can find me on LinkedIn and also on my mentorship page, philipzalata.com.
My main page is fearless-pricing.com, or fearless-pricing, as they say in the US. And I'm also all over the place. Thank you. I think this was worthwhile.
Enjoy.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.